Well, hello everyone, and welcome to week 7. So we're really getting to that wind down stage. It's been a long journey, putting all this together, and you're doing your action research, wrapping things up, most certainly, or at least I hope so. In regards to your chapters 1 through 3, I'm finishing upgrading those. Should be done today. The rubric's pretty long, and I want to make sure that all the components are are filled in. When I printed out the rubric, just to give you an idea how long, when it's not landscaped, it's still about 20 pages. So it's quite a big rubric. And so in this being this time of year, we're in the hiring stages. It's crazy time, but we got testing going on actually today. So we are in week 7, and you are going to be working to turn in basically the rough draft, but the final rough draft of all the information this coming Sunday. So that's going to be everything. And make sure everything's filled in. There's no blanks, all signatures, every single component that you can think of to turn in this action project should be turned in, and attach your reflection journals as well. It's not really mandatory in this week 7 because I want to make sure that you have all the components. And then I'm just going to give you an email, each group an email, that it's approved, because there's no points for this Sunday. You're just turning it in. I'm looking through and making sure everything is included that needs to be included before I pass it on, when we get into week 8. But again, you're really working to finish everything up. Just really make sure that you look at the rubrics, and that's what I'm going to talk about. So just to wrap up this week, you're going to be wrapping things up in your groups, getting all of your research, your Chapter 4 worked out. Make sure your Chapter 4 has the detail and the findings and coincides with the other chapters as well. The other thing is next week, you're going to be presenting your research in the live session. Now, here's a little information about that. First, it should be more than about 15 minutes. And you have 15 minutes, and each person's going to have an opportunity to speak in the group, because we don't want one person just doing that. But your presentation should be a PowerPoint, and it should be talking about your overall research. It should also include your findings, of course, your findings, impact, and then how you felt about action research in this particular project, and how it might lead you to doing action research in the future, or the impact of action research in and of itself. So that's really important. So that's what that presentation's about. Now you're going to be doing that, and that will be submitted to me before Wednesday night so I can have it uploaded. There's another option too. You can also, with the staff or the people that you're working with, do a presentation, the same presentation that you would do maybe like on a live session, but you're going to be doing it in front of the stakeholder group that you did the research on. Do the presentation with obviously team members being present and doing the presentation as well. And then you're recording it. And once it's recorded, whether it's 15, 20 minutes, then you submit that in, and that would be your oral presentation. So either one of those ways work, and that's outlined in week 8. So I want to move ahead to week 8, because in week 7 it's basically the rough draft final, and you really want to just have everything done, no missing things, all signatures, everything should be done. So here in week 8. You're going to take a look at the oral presentation. And here are the ideas. The face-to-face, they have theirs, but the online students have 2 options. Videotaping, like I just described, and then also doing the research, which most people do. They just do the 15 minutes, and we're going to be starting at 6 o'clock on that Wednesday night next week, and working through it. So, but one other thing I wanted to say is when you go into the oral presentation, and remember your pages look a little bit different here. You have the assignment instructions, and then you have an area where it says browse computer, and you submit it. But I want you to make sure that you take a look at the rubric. The rubric's really going to help you in regards to your, putting together your slides. So it's not a long rubric or anything like that. Just look at it. What's going to be the highly developed and developed. These are the areas that we have to have you in. So make sure you look through the 5 components and talk about the things that I indicated earlier. Again, your overall research project, why you chose it, what were your findings, impact on students or the group that you worked with, and impact of action research in general. So that's just the first rubric. And just to give you an idea for week 8, and I need to go back. for the final project, I want you to make sure that you see this. So you're going to submit your final action project. Now that's going to happen after. So Wednesday, we have a presentation. Friday is when we have class. I mean, class is when class ends, and that's when this assignment will be done. So you already seen this. You make sure you go through and really do this checklist. Look at all rubric criteria must be met with a minimum score of 3. So you need to make sure you look through each of the rubrics. And here's the rubric. So I described it earlier about how many pages it was. And I'll look at the grid view. And you can see right here. So 1.1 through 1.9 is chapter 1. 2.1 through 2.6 is chapter 2. 3.1 through what looks like 14 is chapter 3. Then you have chapter 4, 4.1 through 4.7. And then you have your other parts of the component. So you can see this is a very long rubric that I'm working with to give you your final grades for your group. There's been a lot of work you've been doing. I really appreciate it. But this rubric, print it out, even though it felt like killing a tree, and I do apologize, but it is something to print out and really go through as a group and make sure, hey, did we nail this? Do we have to adjust this or not? So that we're not going through. And make sure the APA is right. Make sure your fonts are correct. There shouldn't be separate fonts. The font should all be the same font. So make sure that you take a look at those things and we fix them. Other than that, I look forward to seeing you next Wednesday when you're presenting, unless you're going to turn in a video presentation. And also, if you have questions or concerns, please reach out to me and by text, email, phone, and I'll be glad to help you. So looking forward to all of you and your work. So have a great week. Thank you.